This is the pre-lab discussion on experiment number 2, separating the components of panacetin. Panacetin is an analgesic, a painkiller, that contains a mixture of 3 organic compounds. It contains sucrose, which is just table sugar, aspirin, which is a very common analgesic, and one of these 2 unknown analgesics. They've made 2 different versions of panacetin, one with acetanilide and one with phenacetin. And we're going to separate these 3 components and then determine whether it's acetanilide or phenacetin in this version of panacetin. First thing we're going to do is we're going to collect and organize our glassware and chemicals, which you'll see on the video. Then we're going to separate those components, those 3 components, by using some acid-base chemistry and looking at some solubilities. Make sure you read the end of the book sections on these new lab techniques: solubility and centrifuging, basicity and extraction, and evaporation. So here is a flow chart of how we're going to do this separation. We're going to start with panacetin, which contains sucrose, aspirin, and 1 unknown analgesic. We're going to take that panacetin and add some methylene chloride to it. 2 of these components are soluble in methylene chloride and 1 is not. The sucrose is insoluble, so it precipitates out as a solid. We can separate it from the methylene chloride liquid by going to a centrifuge. So we isolate the solid sucrose, then we vacuum filtration it and weigh it to constant mass. Now in my liquid methylene chloride, I have 2 things. I have aspirin, my unknown, and I still have all my methylene chloride. If I add some sodium bicarbonate, which will actually form the sodium salt of aspirin, making it soluble in water, where it does nothing to either of the 2 unknown compounds, they stay in the methylene chloride solution. So this process is called extraction. I extract the aspirin out of the methylene chloride into the aqueous layer. We then take that aqueous layer and I add some hydrochloric acid to it to make it back into aspirin, which is insoluble now in water, and then I vacuum filtrate that solid aspirin. To the methylene chloride layer now, the only thing left in there is methylene chloride and my unknown, so all I have to do is evaporate off the methylene chloride, and I've separated out my unknown. Now I have my sucrose, my unknown, and my aspirin all separated. They're all solids now. I can weigh all those and determine the percent composition of my panacetin. Let's look at some safety. We're going to always wear gloves, goggles, and work in the hood. One of the components of panacetin is sucrose, which is this table sugar. Another component is aspirin. And then one of these 2 components, acetanilide or phenacetin. It turns out acetanilide is pretty benign, but phenacetin, through studies, they found out that it causes kidney damage. So current versions of panacetin are not made with phenacetin. Also, we're going to be working with methylene chloride, sodium bicarbonate, and HCl, hydrochloric acid. So here's the first steps. I'm going to take 0.400 grams of panacetin and I'm going to place it into centrifuge tube A. I'm then going to add 8 milliliters of methylene chloride, and 2 of the compounds will dissolve, my aspirin and my unknown. I'm going to stir this up. The sucrose will not dissolve. I'm going to centrifuge that to make sure that I pull all of the solid down to the bottom of the centrifuge tube. And then I'm going to transfer the liquid from on top to centrifuge tube B, and I'm going to isolate that solid sucrose from that first centrifuge tube. So for centrifuge tube A, which only contains solid and maybe a little residual methylene chloride, I'm going to put it in an oven and dry it to constant mass and then weigh it. To the methylene chloride layer, I'm now going to extract the aspirin, so I'm going to add 4 milliliters of 5% sodium bicarbonate to tube B. 2 layers will form. I'm going to separate those layers using a Pasteur pipette, pulling off the aqueous layer, pulling off the methylene chloride layer, and then I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to extract the methylene chloride layer once again. I'm going to do it twice to try to make sure I get all of the aspirin out of there. To the aqueous layer that I isolated, I'm going to add 6 molar HCl until I get down to about a pH of 2. That's going to convert the sodium salt of aspirin back into the carboxylic acid. I'm then going to collect that solid carboxylic acid, because it's insoluble in water, and dry it to a constant mass. To the organic layer that I separated out, I'm just going to evaporate off the methylene chloride and dry it to constant mass. In part B of this experiment, we're going to determine which of these two analgesics is my unknown, and we're going to do that by melting point. It's either going to be acetanilide or phenacetin. So again, we're going to collect and organize our glassware and chemicals. We're going to read the end of the book sections on operations for these new techniques, recrystallization from water, and mixed melting points. Safety again, we only have 2 analgesics now, phenacetin and acetanilide. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to dissolve our unknown in some boiling water. It turns out both compounds are soluble in boiling water, but they're insoluble in cold water. But I need to know how much water to use because I want to use a minimum. So I'm going to do a calculation. I can look up the solubilities. Acetanilide has 5 grams per 100 milliliters, and phenacetin has 1.22 grams per 100 milliliters. So phenacetin is less soluble. If I do the calculation in this example here, this isn't how many grams we're going to use, but let's say I isolated 1.2 grams of my unknown. If I multiply that times the solubility, 100 milliliters for 5 grams, I need 24 milliliters in theory to dissolve that 1.2 grams if my unknown is acetanilide. If my unknown is phenacetin, I do the same thing. I take 1.2 grams times my 100 milliliters per 1.2 grams, and it takes 98 milliliters. It's less soluble. It takes more liquid to do that. So we do that calculation first, and then we add approximately what we need. After we've dissolved all of our unknown, we're going to cool it slowly to room temperature. By cooling it slowly at first, I give the crystals a chance to actually form and exclude impurities. So as the crystal lattice starts to form, molecules of my unknown come and they start to form a crystalline solid. If I were to quench that in an ice bath right away, I would trap impurities in there because my crystals don't have a chance to exclude impurities. I'm then going to collect that solid by vacuum filtration, wash it, and dry it to constant mass. Now I have a recrystallized unknown that is purer. We're going to determine which of the 2 analgesics we have recrystallized. We're going to prepare 3 melting point capillary tubes, one with just our recrystallized unknown, one with recrystallized unknown plus some commercial acetanilide, and then a third one with our recrystallized unknown and some phenacetin. And then we're going to heat these samples up, and we're going to watch at what temperature they start to melt and at what temperature they're all melted. That's a melting point range. Okay, so we're going to start the process at 90 degrees C, and we're going to heat it at a rate of 10 degrees per minute and determine the melting point. I'm going to show you the apparatus on the next slide here. Okay. So this little tube here in this hand here actually is a hollow tube that is sealed on one end. I'm going to push some of the material into the open end, and then I'm going to turn the tube over and tap it so it's down at the bottom that is sealed. This is a small glass tube. I'm then going to insert it in this melting point apparatus. It gets inserted way up here, and I'm going to look through this eyepiece here to watch it melt. Here's a schematic diagram of it. I have this big heating block here made out of metal. I have a heater, and I have a thermocouple. I just start heating at 10 degrees per minute, and I look through this eyepiece down at the sample, and I look at it to see when it melts. So here's some pictures of it, the process. Here is the solid material as put in the melting point apparatus. I have 3 tubes in there. And then I start ramping the temperature. At first, I start to see these samples all start to melt a little bit. Sometimes they melt at different times. We call that the solidus temperature. That's the start of the melt. And then it continues melting, and eventually it's all turned into a liquid. We call this the liquidus temperature. We're going to record the temperature when it starts to melt, the solidus, and when it's all done melting, the liquidus. Our 2 analgesics have different melting points, so they should all melt at different temperatures. Okay. So, calculations, number 7. We're going to include our calculations in the report. The document results, you can just look at my notebook pages that will be in the video, and formulate conclusions. Those are also going to be in the report. So here's what's required for your report. You need to comment on the safety and handling of the chemicals used in this experiment. There are 7 of them. You need to list the key observations and do a little discussion and conclusions for the main experimental procedures, the separation of sucrose, the extraction of aspirin, the acidification of the aspirin salt, evaporation of methylene chloride, recrystallization, and mixed melting point determination. You should discuss the process a little bit and show how the principles behind that process. And then do some calculations. For the separation process, you should be able to calculate the total percent recovery. You should be able to calculate the mass percent of each component in phenacetin based on the weights that we've measured, and calculate the percent recovery for the recrystallization process. Also, answer the end of lab exercises 1 and 2 from part A on page 47, and answer questions 1, 3, and 4 for part B on pages 53 through 54. And then submit these to Blackboard site as a single PDF file. That's the end of the pre-lab discussion. You should now watch the videos and take notes while you're watching that video so that you can answer the questions. And we'll start experiment lab number 3 the week after this.